Even assassins can become victims. When hunters think they've had an easy meal, they don't know they've just encountered the madmen of the natural world. An unbelievable maneuver, a bloody counterattack, and surprisingly unexpected deaths. Never underestimate your opponent, because sometimes the prey is the one holding the knife in this game. "30 minutes of breathtaking moments." When predators choose the wrong opponent and the bitter ending. A lion encounters the madman of the savannah. The honey badger, a creature weighing only a few dozen pounds, possesses the heart of an immortal warrior. With skin about 6 millimeters thick and venom-resistant, it is recognized as the most daring animal on the planet. A pride of young, arrogant lions surrounds a lone honey badger. They think it's a toy to practice their hunting skills. But they are wrong. With the first bite aimed at the neck, the honey badger's thick, loose skin slipped away like rubber, preventing the fangs from locking onto it. In that instant, the animal, weighing less than 15 kilograms, spun around and bit back at the lion. The roar that rang out was not a roar of victory, but one of pain and surprise. The honey badger did not retreat. It lunged straight at the lion's front legs, hissing with the hoarse voice of a creature that knew no fear. Finally, the lion chose to retreat. The honey badger stood in the middle of the savannah, its body covered in bite marks, yet still defiant. It did not win by strength, but by absolute ferocity, a weapon no predator would want to face a second time. The pride of lions retreated in humiliation, leaving the honey badger to walk on as if nothing had happened. Lions have prestige, but honey badgers have ferocity. Never confuse size with fighting power. Here, the reckless one wins. Wild dogs versus honey badgers. Wild dogs have an 80% hunting success rate thanks to pack discipline. But their strategy relies on tearing apart weak prey. What happens when they face a painless predator like a honey badger? A honey badger is attempting a daring theft right in the wild dog's den. Taking advantage of the pack's inattention, it tries to steal a puppy. But the badger didn't expect the pack to return. Undeterred by the numbers, the honey badger charged straight into the midst of the pack to escape. The pack of dogs surrounded it, forming a continuous attack circle. They took turns tearing at the honey badger. However, the honey badger stubbornly refused to retreat even a single step, spinning 360 degrees with incredible speed, launching counterbites. The more it was attacked, the more frenzied the honey badger became, emitting terrifying growls. The pack of wild dogs was completely helpless. Pack discipline might take down giants, but it was utterly useless against an individual with a bloodthirsty streak. There are opponents for whom fangs and claws are nothing more than toys. Do you think that without this ironclad skin, the honey badger could survive against a pack of professional assassins? Or is it the insane bravery that strikes fear into the wild dogs? Leave your opinion below. The honey badger wins because of its tenacity and thick skin. But there are even more terrifying species that don't need armor because they consider venom a mere error in their calculations. Venomous snake attacks mongoose. Venomous snakes are symbols of death, but for the mongoose, it's just a mobile toy. This isn't a battle between two assassins, but a specialized massacre evolved to eliminate those with venom. A snake stood upright, its body level with the mangoot's eye level, ready to unleash enough venom to take down a large animal. But instead of keeping its distance, the mangoot actively moved into attack range, directly confronting the earthly death. The mangoot continuously performed skillful thrusts, forcing the snake to expend energy and venom into the air. With each thrust, the mangoot dodged, driving the snake into a frenzy and disorientation. But it was useless. As soon as the snake began to lower its head, the mangoot activated its finishing move. No more feinting. It lunged straight into the middle of the snake's wide-open mouth, clamping down on its upper jaw and crushing the enemy's skull with an absolutely concentrated bite. The mangoot calmly held its bite until all movement ceased. A cruel reversal. The venomous predator was devoured head-on while its body still thrashed about. In this world, venom isn't everything. When your reflexes are a beat slower than your opponent's, you're no longer a killer, you're just food. What do you think of the mongoose's venom resistance? Is this a gift from nature, or the result of millions of years of bloody evolution? A cheetah versus a warthog. The cheetah is the king of speed, but its body is slender and extremely vulnerable. In contrast, the warthog is a spiky, explosive mass. It doesn't know how to run away artfully. It only knows how to ram through anything in its path with its curved tusks that can split the belly skin of any enemy. A cheetah has caught up with its target. The warthog is cornered, with no way out. In the world of the cheetah, this is the time to deliver a chokehold. But in the world of the warthog, this is the time to begin a reverse slaughter. Instead of exposing itself to the predator, the wild boar unexpectedly lowered its center of gravity and lunged straight at the leopard with the speed of a bullet. The leopard, taken by surprise, tried to jump away, but it was too late. A head-on collision ensued. The boar's tusks sent the leopard flying. Not stopping there, the wild boar frantically ran to escape. The leopard, panicked, had to use all its strength to flee, leaving its dinner behind in shock and pain. The wild boar stopped at a distance, looking back at its prey like a victorious gladiator. One miscalculation had turned the speedy killer into a panic, forever instilling fear in those with fangs. Never corner someone who has nothing left to lose. When desperation turns into brutal force, the hunter will understand the price of error. Could one gore change the course of the hunt? Or would the leopard return for revenge? When the buffalo becomes a threat to lions, African buffalo, especially the solitary old males, dagaboys, don't operate on a fleeing instinct. They operate on a vengeful instinct. With their thick, armored skulls and weighing nearly a ton, an old buffalo is a combination of brute strength and intense hatred for the feline family. In a dry mud puddle, two male lions are trying to subdue an old buffalo. They think their youth and agility will help them defeat the giant. But in reality, this buffalo has survived dozens of hunts, and it knows exactly where the lions will attack. Instead of standing still and taking the blow, the old buffalo lowers its center of gravity, using its enormous horns to sweep a deadly circle to maintain distance. When one lion recklessly lunges to bite its leg, the buffalo suddenly performs an extraordinary spin, goring the lion straight in the belly. In fact, there have been numerous recorded cases of lions being seriously injured or even killed by buffaloes. In this battle, the buffalo doesn't stop after driving away its enemy. It relentlessly pursues the predator. The ending isn't the triumphant roar of the king of the jungle, but the sight of the proud old buffalo standing tall. This is the bloodiest overthrow of a king you've ever seen, where the prey not only survives, but also turns the killer into a loser. The lion is the king of the savanna, but the old buffalo is the one who dictates the rules. When you face someone who has nothing left to lose, even a crown can't save your life. What do you think when the hunter becomes a corpse at the feet of its prey? Will the lion ever learn the lesson of humility before these giants? Leopard attacks baboon. Leopards are masters of silent hunting. They believe that with one precise pounce from above, everything will be over before the prey realizes it has been chosen. And this time, the target was a lone baboon searching for food under a tree. But the leopard chose the wrong opponent. The moment the pounce was launched, a piercing scream ripped through the air. Not a cry for help, but a signal of war. In just seconds, dark figures appeared from all directions. The entire troop of baboons swarmed down the tree trunk like a frenzied flood. Rough hands, teeth bared in fury. They counterattacked. The leopard roared, trying to escape. But this time, the tree was no longer an ally. It became a trap. From above, the baboons from all sides terrified the predator. Only one decision remained: flee for your life. The leopard quickly disappeared into the bushes amidst the baboons' howls. This is the cruel lesson of the savanna. Not all prey is born to be hunted. And when a predator mistakenly encounters an organized, intelligent, and vengeful opponent, the hunt ends in humiliation instead of death. Lion attacks rhinoceros. Lions are accustomed to prey fleeing. On the savanna, a roar alone is usually enough to establish the order of survival. And when a lone rhino appeared, moving slowly through the dry grass, the hunt seemed only a matter of time. But rhinos don't operate on fear. The lions approached from multiple directions, snarling, testing its reaction, and feinting with bites to its flanks and hind legs. The familiar tactic: apply pressure, force the prey into panic, then strike. But instead of fleeing, the rhino stood still for a few terrifying seconds. Then the ground shook. The massive, multi-ton mass of steel suddenly spun around, its long horns pointing directly at the nearest intruder. There was no long charge, just a short but absolutely violent burst of speed. The first blow forced the lion to leap quickly to the side to avoid being impaled. A cloud of dust rose. The order of attack shattered in an instant. A young lion slipped as it tried to approach again, and that very moment made the entire pride realize the truth. This was no prey to be taken lightly. The rhino continued its charge, each step heavy but resolute, forcing the lions to scatter to save their lives. The hunt ended without bloodshed, but the price paid was the complete collapse of their advantage. The lions silently retreated, leaving the rhino to continue walking as if it had never been threatened. On the savanna, not all prey can be subdued by claws. There are creatures whose mere turning around is enough to end the hunt. But that wasn't the only creature that made the lions hesitate. At the edge of the swamp, an even more dangerous adversary awaited. Hippos, creatures that looked slow and clumsy, were actually one of the most ferocious animals on the planet, with jaws possessing an incredible biting force. Thirst and arrogance drove a reckless male lion to pursue a hippo retreating toward the water. It believed that by clinging tightly to its back and using its weight to pull, it could subdue this sullen giant. The lion swooped down, water splashing everywhere, its claws digging deep into the hippopotamus's thick skin. But this wasn't a hunt. It was a suicidal territorial invasion. The hippopotamus didn't panic the moment it sensed the intruder on its back. It roared, its roar echoing throughout the swamp, spinning incredibly fast beneath the muddy water. In an instant, its enormous jaws, filled with long fangs, opened wide. The hippo lunged to crush the audacious intruder. The missed bite grazed the lion's head, causing the water to erupt. Realizing it had entered death zone, the lion frantically tried to swim back to shore in the chaos. The hippo didn't stop. It pursued the intruder to the water's edge. The moment the king of the savannah fled for his life, while the hippo stood majestically in the water, was a bloody warning. This was the hippo's territory, and here, the lion's claws were mere children's toys. In fact, there are several recorded hunts where, even on land, hippos can attack the king of the savannah. Never confuse tameness with gentleness. When you enter hippo territory, all the rules of the jungle are erased. You only have two choices: flee immediately or become minced meat under those enormous jaws. What do you think if this battle took place entirely underwater? Would a lion have even a 1% chance of surviving the hippo's fury? Leave your thoughts below. The savannah is never for the complacent. The past 30 minutes have proven a harsh truth. Even the apex predator can be a victim if it chooses the wrong opponent. From the frenzy of the honey badger to the 1,000-pound jaws of the hippo, it all confirms. In the fight for survival, prestige cannot save you. Only alertness determines survival. One wrong bite, and the price to pay is always belated regret in a pool of blood. Which comeback scene haunts you the most? Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the most brutal battles on the planet. Thank you, goodbye, and see you again.
Savannah is a land where death can strike in an instant. Under the blazing sun, every step on the grassland is fraught with danger. Here, there is no room for weakness. Only the strongest have the right to survive. Who will be called by the vortex of life and death today? The fierce savannah, the horrifying chase between the warthog and the lion. The red sun gradually rises, covering the endless grassland with a burning yellow light. The dry wind sweeps through, stirring up layers of fine dust floating in the air. From afar, the sparse treetops cast long shadows, and in the vast space, there is only the sound of the wind and the sound of insects echoing. That silence does not bring peace, but is like a full trap, waiting for the moment to explode. In this harsh place, just a small movement, the savannah will immediately turn into a battlefield of life and death. And then, from the short grass, a rough figure suddenly appeared. It was a person who seemed clumsy, but had a surprisingly tenacious survival instinct. With a large, flat head and two curved tusks protruding from its mouth, the warthog had a rough and fierce appearance. The thick, rough skin, along with the bumps protruding around its eyes and nose, made it look like a warrior wearing a rough mask. Four short but strong legs, hard nails help it accelerate up to nearly 55 km/h, enough to escape from many predators. During dry days, warthog patiently digs tree roots and grass roots to find food. When grazing, it often kneels down, its head close to the ground. An awkward posture, but a typical mark of the species. At first glance, warthog looks stupid and sullen, but deep inside is a high level of vigilance. The ears stand upright, constantly rotating to the slightest sound, like a living radar. To survive in the savanna, warthogs also take advantage of abandoned honey badgers or porcupines for shelter. When danger is near, they will rush straight into them, revealing only their sharp fangs as a warning to any predators who dare to approach. What seems to be just clumsiness is actually the perfect cover, helping warthogs become one of the most resilient survivors in this harsh grassland. But the savanna has never been a safe land. While the warthogs are still absorbed in munching grass, each gust of wind gently stirs the bushes in the distance. Hidden there, a pair of golden eyes shine under the sunlight, watching every smallest movement of the prey. The graceful figure slides close to the ground. Each step is as light as a breath, almost making no sound. The muscles bulged under the shiny skin, the tail wagged gently in a patient rhythm, a familiar sign before a storm of prey broke out. The surrounding space suddenly became heavy, as if the savanna was also holding its breath, waiting. The chase had begun. Just a few moments later, The sharp teeth, like knives, locked onto the warthog's throat, ending the chase in a bloody finale. The savannah fell silent, only the sound of the wind howling through the grassland. Another life had fallen, a cruel testament to the cycle of life and death in this harsh land. Before the grass could settle down after the fierce chase, the savannah returned to its false silence. In the distance, against the fiery sky, a giant figure gradually appeared in the middle of the vast grassland. Walking leisurely but majestically, the creature seemed to carry a part of the sky on its towering shoulders. That is the silent giant of the savannah, the giraffe. The giraffe is the tallest mammal on the planet, with an average height of 5 to 6 meters. Males can weigh up to 1,200 kilograms. The long neck accounts for almost half of the body's height, supported by just 7 cervical vertebrae. Like humans, but each vertebra is more than 25 centimeters long. The distinctive golden-brown fur, covered with unique polygonal patterns, is both camouflage and helps to distinguish each individual. The long, slender legs are extremely strong and can take down an adult lion with just one kick. Despite their tall appearance, giraffes live entirely on plants. They eat leaves and young shoots, and especially love acacia leaves, a type of tree with sharp thorns that few species dare to touch. The giraffe's tongue is purple-black, up to 45 centimeters long, flexible and covered with a thick layer of tissue that helps prevent being pricked by thorns when rolling the leaves. During mating season, males often participate in necking matches, using their long necks and short horns on their heads to fight each other for mating rights. The winner will have access to the female. The gestation period lasts about 15 months, after which the female giraffe gives birth to a single calf, nearly 2 meters tall at birth. Within half an hour, the calf can stand up and run with the herd to escape the predator. The natural enemy of the giraffe is the lion, which targets the calves or weak individuals. Leopards, Hyenas and wild dogs also occasionally attack the calves. However, the adult giraffe has almost no real opponents, as the powerful kick from its hind legs can crush the skull or break the bones of any predator. The giraffe is the silent giant of the savanna, both a symbol of elegance and a testament to the unique evolutionary power of nature. The sun gradually sets over the vast grasslands, dyeing the savanna in a brilliant red like blood. In the vast space, each heavy step echoing on the dry ground. Under the red sunset, the massive body of the rhino appears like a living chariot. With its thick, rough, gray skin like an ancient armor, it exudes an invulnerable aura. On its broad nose, two keratin horns rise powerfully. The front one can be more than a meter long, a weapon that is both defensive and offensive, making many species wary. Its small ears constantly rotate to each sound, making up for its dull eyes. Each of its steps is heavy but sure, as if pounding each beat on the dry ground. When it feels threatened, this seemingly slow giant can charge at a speed of nearly 50 kilometers, strong enough to knock away anyone who dares to challenge it. Despite its ferocious appearance, rhinos are gentle herbivores. They spend most of their time grazing on grass, bushes, and soaking in mud to cool their bodies. However, that peace does not last long. During the breeding season, when the survival instinct rises stronger than ever, the savanna is shaken by the uncompromising giants. Two male rhinos suddenly meet each other on the same territory. Fiery eyes, each deep roar echoes in the vast space, signaling an inevitable battle. Not for food, but for dominance and the opportunity to pass on bloodline. At that moment, the savanna turns into an arena of two armored chariots, ready to charge into each other in a bloody confrontation. Then, boom, the battle breaks out. After dozens of minutes of fighting, the sound of horns colliding gradually becomes less frequent. Both giants pant, their breaths heavy in the thick red dust. Finally, one gradually falters, its trembling legs no longer strong enough to maintain balance. In a moment of silence, it quietly turns around, each heavy step retreating into the distance, leaving the fierce arena behind. The one who remained stood tall in the red sunset, his body exhausted, but his eyes still shining with pride. There was no death, but defeat meant the loss of territory, the loss of access to children, and the loss of the chance to pass on his bloodline. In the savannah, sometimes survival is not determined by strength alone, but by the will to stand firm after relentless battles. As the grass gradually settled, the savannah returned to its normal rhythm. The victor, though wounded, was rewarded not only with territory, but also with the chance to pass on his bloodline. In the world of rhinos, these fierce battles always open a new cycle of life. The female approaches, still alert, but not leaving. After fierce clashes, the strongest will win the right to mate. The gestation period lasts up to 16 months, and when giving birth, the female rhino only gives birth to a single calf, weighing about 40 to 60 kilos. The sun gradually sets behind the horizon, casting a red light on the rough, wounded body. In the fierce savannah, the rhino still stands firm, a symbol of strength and pride. The grass was silent, the sky was mottled with orange-red, and the vast space seemed to be waiting for a new force to step out. From afar, the ground shook slightly with each resounding stomp of feet. A giant black shadow gradually appeared in the middle of the vast grassland, towering and majestic like a silent ruler. That was the appearance of the African elephant, the true giant of the Black Continent. In the orange-red sunset, the majestic body of the African elephant appeared, up to 4 meters tall and weighing more than 6 tons, the largest mammal on land. The giant ears, like fans, not only help to dispel the harsh heat, but also serve as a communication tool with powerful flaps. The long, flexible trunk contains more than 40,000 muscles, can uproot a tree, but is also skillful enough to pick up a small leaf. Elephants are giant herbivores, consuming up to 200 kilos of food and drinking more than 100 liters of water every day. They roam the savanna, carving trails through the jungle, digging ponds in the dry season, unintentionally becoming the architects of the ecosystem, nurturing countless other species. Elephant society is led by the oldest female, a female leader, who keeps the memory of water sources and migration routes. The young are always protected by the herd, walking between the giant bodies, safe from predators. But elephants are not always gentle. When angry, a shock from a meter-long tusk can kill a lion in the blink of an eye. But baby elephants are always the targets that predators crave. Every wobbly step of a baby elephant is potentially dangerous, and just a moment of carelessness. The shadow of death can strike at any time. And in this moment, the darkness of the grass hid the silent predators, waiting for an opening to strike a fatal blow. In the distance, the faint silhouettes of a few lionesses appeared, their golden eyes watching the elephant herd. They stalk silently, focusing only on one target, the small, clumsy cubs. The savanna air suddenly became heavy, as if death was lurking just under the sunset. Suddenly, the fight broke out. The lions were forced to flee, leaving behind the angry roars of their mother elephants. The ground shook under the fierce stomps. Dust flew everywhere, and in an instant, the hunter became the hunted. The sunset falls. The savanna grassland is immersed in a deep red color. The elephant herd continues its journey silently, leaving behind the deep footsteps that resonate like the eternal beat of nature. They are proof that in the midst of a harsh world, there still exists a lasting and everlasting power that overcomes all dangers. In the wild, life and death always go hand in hand, like two sides of destiny. Every hunt, every battle, every birth is a piece in the endless cycle of life and death. There, the weak have no place, and the strong are never completely safe. In your opinion, what is the most powerful survival weapon of the warthog? Sharp tusks, breakaway speed, or high alertness? Leave a comment below the video. And don't forget to ring the bell and subscribe so you don't miss the next wildlife survival series.